So I'm Dr. Lutzmini, Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I'm going to take the topic data security and storage for the subject cloud computing. So what are the aspects of data security? So data in transit, data at rest, processing of the data including multi-tenancy, data in transit. So while sending and the receiving the data may have security breaches. Data at rest, data may be stored somewhere. It can be stored by anyone or the intruder. So processing of the data. So many people will be using the data. So data lineage, data provenance, and data remnants. So the first three terms are you are maybe familiar with. So we'll see the last three terms that are the most that plays a major role in cloud computing. So aspects of data security, it is important to ensure that a protocol provides confidentiality as well as integrity. FTP over SSL, Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure HTTPS, and Secure Copy Program, particularly if the protocol is used for transferring data across the internet. So merely encrypting data and using non-secure protocol can provide confidentiality, but does not ensure the integrity of data. So the economics of cloud computing are sure that PaaS-based applications and software as a service-based application uses multi-tenancy architecture. In other words, data when processed by a cloud-based application or stored for use by a cloud-based application is commingled with other users' data, typically stored in a massive data storage like Google's Big. So although applications are often designed with features such as data tagging for further information to prevent unauthorized access to commingled data, unauthorized access is still possible through some exploit of an application vulnerability. Although an organization's data in transit might be integrated during data transfer to and from the cloud provider, and it is at rest, might be encrypted if using simple storage, or an organization data is definitely not encrypted if it is not processed in the cloud. So public or private, for any application to process data, that data must be unencrypted. So whether the data an organization has put into the cloud is encrypted or not, so it is useful and might be required for audit or compliance purpose. So to know exactly where and when the data was specifically located within the cloud. So following the path of data, mapping application data flows or data path visualization is known as data lineage. So and it is important for auditors' assurance, internal auditing, external auditing, and regulatory. So for example, so data might be transferred to a cloud provider such as IAWS on date X at time Y1 and stored in a bucket. Now Amazon S3, the file name is example1.s3.amazonaws.com. So it may be processed at some other date that will be denoted as date X2 and time Y2 on an instance being used by an organization on Amazon's Elastic Compute Cloud. So EC2, so that is stored in the file, then restored in another bucket. So example 2.s3 and Amazon AWS AWS.com before being brought back into the organization for storage in an internal data warehouse belonging to the market operation group on data X3 at a time Y3. This is the problem given. So even if data lineage can be established in a public cloud, for some customer there is an even more challenging requirement. So one more problem is you have to have data provenance, not just proving the integrity of the data, but the more specific provenance of the data. So there is an important difference between the two terms. So what are they? The integrity of the data refers to the data that has not been changed in an unauthorized manner or by an unauthorized person. Provenance means not only that the data has integrity, but also that is computationally secure. So data remnants, the final aspect of data security is data remnants. It is defined as the residual representation of the data that has been in some way nominally erased or removed. This residue may be due to the data being left intact by a nominal delete operation, or through physical properties of the storage medium. Data remnants may take inadvertent disclosure of sensitive information possible should the storage media be released into an uncontrolled environment, that is thrown into the cache or given to the third party. So data storage, next topic is data storage. For data stored in the cloud, SAS, or will be referring as IaaS, and not data associated with an application running on the cloud, maybe platform as a service or software as a service. The same three information security concerns are associated with the data storage. Data stored: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. CIA. Confidentiality. First, what access control exists to protect the data? Access control consists of both authentication and authorization. So CSP generally use weak authentication mechanisms, that is username and password, and the authorization access controls available to user tend to be quite coarse and is not very regular. For large organization, this coarse authorization presents significant security concerns unto itself. The only authorization levels cloud vendors provide are administrator authorization and user authorization, and with no level in between. So because key management is complex and difficult for a single customer, so it is even more complex and difficult for CSPs, cloud service provider, to try to properly manage multiple customer keys. For that reason, several CSPs do not have a good job of managing customer keys. For example, it is for a customer to encrypt all the data with a single key. So what will happen? The organization of the advanced structured information standards, OASIS key management interoperability protocol, KMIP, is trying to address such issues. Integrity. Encryption alone is not sufficient. You have to have the simplest way. You can make use of message authentication code. So you can have in security, network security, have the cipher blockchaining mode to include one-way hash. So this is not cryptographically uninitiated. So how effective it will be, we may not know. So not only is important the integrity of the customer data, but it will also serve to persistent. So have to have the security is there or not, especially for platform as a service or software as a service.